I am Amelia Earhart. My life has been a journey to discover the limits of the sky. I believe that daring to dream is the first step to flight.
Earhart was born in Atchison, Kansas, and developed a passion for adventure at an early age, steadily gaining flying experience from her 20s onward. In 1928, she became famous after being the first woman to cross the Atlantic by plane as a passenger. In 1932, she became the first woman to fly solo non-stop across the Atlantic, earning the Distinguished Flying Cross for her achievement. In 1935, she became a visiting faculty member at Purdue University as an advisor in aeronautical engineering and a career counselor for female students. She was a member of the National Woman's Party and an early supporter of the Equal Rights Amendment. She was one of the most inspiring American figures of the late 1920s and 1930s. Her legacy is often compared to that of pioneering aviator Charles Lindbergh in his early days, as well as First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, due to their close friendship and lasting influence. In 1937, while attempting to become the first woman to complete a flight around the world, piloting a Lockheed Model 10E Electra, Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan disappeared near Howland Island in the Central Pacific Ocean. They were last seen in Lae, New Guinea, their final land stop before Howland Island, a very small site where they had planned to refuel. It is generally believed that they ran out of fuel before finding Howland and crashed into the ocean near their destination. After nearly a year and a half of searching, Earhart and Noonan were officially declared dead. She would have been 41 years old. Amelia Mary Earhart was born on July 24, 1897 in Atchison, Kansas, the daughter of Samuel Edwin Stanton Earhart, 1867 to 1930, and Amelia Amy Earhart, née Otis, 1869 to 1962. Amelia was born in the home of her maternal grandfather, Alfred Gideon Otis, a former judge in Kansas, president of the Atchison Savings Bank, and one of the town's leading citizens. Amelia was the couple's second child, following the stillbirth of a son in August 1896. She was partly of German ancestry. Alfred Otis initially opposed the marriage and was dissatisfied with Edwin's progress as a lawyer. In keeping with family tradition, Amelia was named after her grandmothers, Amelia Josephine Harris and Mary Wells Patton. From an early age, Amelia was the dominant sibling, while her younger sister, Grace Muriel Earhart, 2 years her junior, was more compliant. Amelia was nicknamed Millie, sometimes Mealy, while Grace was called Pidge. Both continued responding to these childhood nicknames into adulthood. Their upbringing was unconventional. Amy Earhart did not believe in raising her daughters to be nice little girls. Their maternal grandmother disapproved of the bloomers the girls wore, but although Amelia enjoyed the freedom of movement they provided, she was sensitive to the fact that neighborhood girls wore dresses. The Earhart children seemed to have an adventurous spirit and would set out daily to explore their neighborhood. As a child, Amelia spent hours playing with Pidge, climbing trees, shooting rats with a rifle, and sledding down hills. Some biographers later described young Amelia as a tomboy. The girls collected worms, moths, grasshoppers, and a tree frog, which they kept in a growing menagerie. In 1904, with the help of her uncle, Amelia built a homemade ramp modeled after a roller coaster she had seen during a trip to St. Louis, Missouri. She fastened it to the roof of the family's tool shed. After her first documented flight, she emerged from the broken wooden box she had used as a sled with a bruised lip, a torn dress, and a sense of exhilaration, exclaiming, "Oh, Pidge, it's just like flying!" In 1907, Edwin Earhart's job as a claims officer for the Rock Island Railroad led the family to move to Des Moines, Iowa. The following year, at age 10, Amelia saw her first airplane at the Iowa State Fair in Des Moines. Their father tried to interest his daughters in taking a ride, but after seeing the rickety old flivver, Amelia immediately asked if they could return to the merry-go-round. She later described the biplane as a thing of rusty wire and wood and not at all interesting. The sisters, Amelia and Grace, by adolescence known by her middle name Muriel, remained with their grandparents in Atchison while their parents moved into a smaller home in Des Moines. During this time, they were homeschooled by their mother and a governess. Amelia later said she had been a voracious reader and spent long hours in the family library. In 1909, when the family reunited in Des Moines, the Earhart children enrolled in public school for the first time. At age 12, Amelia entered 7th grade. The family's financial situation seemed to improve when they purchased a new house and hired 2 servants, but it soon became clear that Edwin was struggling with alcoholism. In 1914, he was forced to retire and sought treatment, but the Rock Island Railroad did not reinstate him. Around the same time, Amelia's maternal grandmother, Amelia Otis, died, leaving a large estate. Out of concern that Edwin's drinking would drain it, her daughter's share was placed in a trust. The Otis home was sold at auction with its contents, which Amelia later described as the end of her childhood. In 1915, after a long job search, Edwin found work as a clerk with the Great Northern Railway in St. Paul, Minnesota. Amelia enrolled as a junior at Central High School. Later that year, he applied for a transfer to Springfield, Missouri, but the current claims officer contested his retirement and demanded reinstatement, leaving Edwin unemployed again. Amy Earhart took her daughters to Chicago, where they stayed with friends. Amelia searched local high schools for the best science program, rejecting the nearest one because its chemistry lab looked like a kitchen sink. She eventually enrolled at Hyde Park High School, but she had a miserable semester. Her yearbook entry read, AE, the girl in brown who walks alone. Amelia graduated from Hyde Park High School in 1916. Throughout her youth, she continued aspiring to a career. She kept a scrapbook filled with newspaper clippings of successful women in male-dominated fields, including film directing, production, law, advertising, management, and mechanical engineering. She began college at Ogant School in Rydal, Pennsylvania, but did not complete the program. During Christmas vacation in 1917, she visited her sister in Toronto, Canada, where she saw wounded soldiers returning from World War I. After receiving Red Cross Nurses Aid training, she began working with the Voluntary Aid Detachment at Spadina Military Hospital. Her duties included preparing special diets for patients and dispensing prescribed medications at the hospital pharmacy. There, she heard stories from military pilots, sparking her interest in aviation. In 1918, when the Spanish flu pandemic struck Toronto, Earhart worked long night shifts as a nurse's aide. In early November, she herself fell ill with pneumonia and maxillary sinusitis. She was hospitalized until December 1918, nearly 2 months. Symptoms included facial pain, pressure near one eye, and heavy mucus drainage. In the pre-antibiotic era, she underwent painful sinus wash procedures, which proved unsuccessful and worsened her headaches. Her convalescence lasted about a year, spent at her sister's home in Northampton, Massachusetts. She filled her time reading poetry, learning the banjo, and studying mechanics. Chronic sinusitis later affected her flying and sometimes forced her to wear a bandage over her cheek to cover a drainage tube. By 1919, Earhart prepared to enter Smith College, where her sister was enrolled, but she changed her mind and took pre-medical courses at Columbia University instead. She left after 1 year to rejoin her parents in California.